We ask you to send us your solutions to reunite the GOP. And there are people like Barbara Weber, who says, get rid of the good old boys and have Ted Cruz, Mike Lee step up and take over. And then there are folks like James Hayes, who says the Tea Party needs to learn they can't have it their way 100% of the time. They need to learn how to compromise. So how do we get past the division and work together? Amy Kramer is chair of the Tea Party Express. Matt Kibbe is president and CEO of FreedomWorks. Amy, Matt, great to have both of you here. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks. Good to be here.
I want to get some reaction to what Governor Walker was talking about, the need to work together. We're not going to get all the things that we want. Amy, do you feel like there's room in the Republican Party and room from the Tea Party to say, yeah, you know what, we're not exactly pleased with everything you're doing, but it's better than having Pelosi and Reid running the show?
Well, I would say that we all want to take back the Senate. I don't think there's anybody that's caused as much obstruction as Harry Reid. But regardless of what Matt and I say here, these people out in America have their own mind, and they're going to do what they want to do. And they do want to get rid of some people that are in office that are Republicans, that when they vote with the Democrats, sometimes more than they do with the Republicans. And when you have those people, it waters down our brand. And we cannot continue down this path. What is so refreshing about Rand Paul and Ted Cruz and Mike Lee is finally somebody is fighting. They're doing what they promised to do when they got to Washington. And I think this cycle, we have an opportunity, because in 2010, when we drove the messaging, we won across the board. In 2012, when the Republican Party drove the messaging, we lost. We can get back to what actually is touching people's lives, and that is the economy and Obamacare. And if we can stay focused on that, I think we can win in 2014.
Matt, what about, let's say, some of the Republicans in the Senate? Nobody voted for Obamacare. Nobody's voted for, let's say, a big tax increase in the Senate right now that I'm aware of. Where are the points at which we need to say these Republicans aren't good guys, we need to get rid of them?
Well, you know, there's a long history of frustration in some of these primaries, both when we challenge an incumbent, but also when the GOP establishment rallies around someone like Charlie Crist, who is now a Democrat.
Yeah.
And we've had this problem. Trey Grayson in Kentucky, who Mitch McConnell got behind instead of Rand Paul, he's now the co-chairman of a Democratic super PAC. So we do need some competition. We do need some accountability. Some politicians are in office for too long. And I think that's part of what helps the Republican Party win. We win when we stand for something. We win when we're authentic. We win when grassroots America believes that we say we're going to do what we ran on. Now, at the margin, we spend most of our money and most of our resources and most of our time going after Democrats, because they're the guys driving up the debt. They're the guys causing all the trouble. But I think we win when we support Republicans that share those basic values.
I mean, I believe in term limits. To me, the ultimate way to get rid of people who've been there too long is to say you can't stay too long because you have a limit. You got to go home. And I think we need that. I pushed for that forever, and I still believe in it.
Well, there are senators that have been in Washington almost as long as I've been alive. That's not the way it should be. It is their policies that have gotten us into this mess. We cannot blame this entire mess on the Democrats. That's a fact that the Republicans have contributed to it as well. And though we need to change things, it's not working. Let's try something new. Let's try some fresh ideas from some of these new guys. They're actually out there in touch with America. They breathe air that is outside of the Washington, D.C. bubble. And how nice is that? They're not drunk on the Potomac water.
Oh, I think that's a good point. But let's say you have a challenger. He doesn't win. Should we then unite behind the person who is the nominee, believing, look, he may not be the perfect Republican, but he's better than any of the Democrats that, you know, might win if he doesn't? Is that a valid thing to expect?
I think we should do that. But our sense, particularly since 2010, 2012, is that sometimes there's two sets of rules, because sometimes the Tea Party guy wins the primary and the establishment Republican bolts the party and splits the vote. It happened in Alaska, it happened in Florida, it happens other places. And sometimes our activists feel like they're supposed to do the right thing as long as the establishment gets their choice. But when we get our choice, sometimes the rules change. And there's some frustration there for sure.
Absolutely. And I think that's a fair assessment. And by the way, I fought the establishment diligently in a couple of races, and I think you're 100% on. Amy, Matt, great to have you both out here. Thank you very, very much. Marsha Prince says that we have been labeled as cold and uncaring. We'd better change that perception visually and verbally. You can tweet your solutions to reunite the GOP at Huckabee Show and on our Facebook page, The Huckabee Show. Coming up, why do conservative groups attack one Republican and support another? We'll talk to the Club for Growth. They targeted me during my run for president. I'll talk to someone from them when we come back. We'll find out. Stay with us.